Welcome to another deep dive. You know, it always amazes me how much history we find in language. Like today, we're looking at the Armenian alphabet.
Oh, it's fascinating. It seems simple, but there's so much history in every letter.
I always thought Mizrath Mashtots invented it, around 405 CE. But it's more interesting than that, right?
Way more. Ancient sources suggest writing existed in Armenia way before Mashtots.
Really? What sources are we talking about?
Well, there's Muses Kornasi, considered the father of Armenian history. He wrote about a scholar, Bardesanes, centuries before Mashtots. This Bardesanes was supposedly reading old Armenian texts.
At Ani, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
at the Castle of Ani. And these weren't written in the alphabet we know today.
So a different system.
Totally. They called it Mithraic script, linked to Tyr, the god of writing.
Mithraic script, god of writing. Sounds like an Indiana Jones movie. What does it all mean?
It means Armenian writing's origins are ancient and mysterious. And there's more. Philo of Alexandria, who lived even earlier, mentions a Greek scholar translating things into Armenian.
Meaning there had to be a way to write it down.
Exactly. So we have these hints of writing before Mashtots, but we're not sure what it looked like or how common it was.
Like a puzzle with missing pieces.
That's what's so cool about it. Like those coins historian Vardan Araveltsi found, they seem to have an older Armenian script on them, adding another layer to the mystery.
Okay, so Mashtots might not have invented it from scratch, but he made it what it is, right?
Absolutely. He formalized it, standardized it, and made it accessible. The first thing he wrote was from Proverbs: to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding.
Wow, setting the bar high for a first sentence. But he was inspired by other writing systems too, right?
Right. Scholars see influences from Greek in the letter shapes and their order, and Pahlavi.
Pahlavi. Remind me.
It was the main script in the region back then, so it makes sense. Some of it rubbed off on the Armenian alphabet.
So it's a mix, like a melting pot of scripts.
What about Yez? I heard that might have influenced it too.
That's where things get tricky. It's a popular theory, but experts disagree. Another mystery. Shows you can't believe everything you hear.
Exactly. Evidence is key. But let's move from the origins to how the script actually changed over time. It's quite a story.
So we've got this alphabet, a fusion of influences steeped in mystery. But it doesn't stay frozen in time, right? It evolves.
Think of it like a book, and we've only seen the first chapter. As we move through the centuries, we see changes, twists, even some controversy.
Ooh, I love a little controversy. Give me the historical gossip.
Let's start with physical evidence. The earliest example we have is an inscription on the Church of St. Sarkis in Takor.
How old is that one?
It's from the 480 CE, just a few decades after Mashtots.
Wow. So soon after its creation, it was used for inscriptions. What does that tell us?
It shows how quickly it caught on. And it wasn't just in Armenia. In the 6th century, there's a mosaic inscription in a chapel in Jerusalem.
From the Caucasus Mountains to the Holy Land? That's amazing.
Right, these aren't just artifacts. They are snapshots of a culture on the move, bringing their alphabet with them.
What about full texts? When do we see those?
That's where it gets really exciting. In the 9th and 10th centuries, we find the oldest Armenian manuscripts. These give us glimpses into the lives and minds of people from 1,000 years ago, preserved thanks to the alphabet.
It's amazing how much work went into those manuscripts, each letter meticulously written by hand.
And the story continues. The alphabet kept adapting. In the 13th century, we see 2 new letters, U and Ov.
That might seem small, but it's important, right?
It shows the alphabet was designed to change and grow. Those letters represent foreign sounds entering the language.
So the language itself was evolving, too, borrowing and adapting.
Exactly. And speaking of changes, things get a bit more controversial in the 20th century.
The shack end debate. I need to hear about this.
In the 20th century, Soviet Armenia introduced reforms, basically making Huv and the ligature their own letters.
What's a ligature again?
It's 2 letters joined, which can be confusing, making its own letter aimed to clear that up.
Sounds straightforward. Why the controversy?
Language and identity are deeply connected. Some saw it as breaking tradition, others saw it as Soviet control, especially those outside Soviet Armenia.
So even an alphabet can be political.
Absolutely. And there's another twist. The Armenian alphabet wasn't always just for Armenian.
Wait, really? other languages use the Armenian alphabet? Like,
For centuries, it was used for Turkish, Kurdish, even Syriac. It shows you how versatile it was.
wow, I had no idea. That's incredible.
It was a bridge between different cultures. Like Armeno-Turkish is a fascinating example.
Armeno-Turkish, is that Turkish written with Armenian letters?
Yes, and it was widely used by Armenians in the Ottoman Empire. Even some non-Armenians used it. It even pops up in official Ottoman documents and the first Turkish novel.
That just blows my mind. This alphabet is incredible. It really makes you think about the cultural exchange, right?
Yeah,
What was lost, what was gained.
definitely. Language isn't just this fixed system. It's much more fluid, more about exchange. And that leads us to the digital age.
Right. How does something so old work in the digital world? How does it survive with all the ones and zeros?
It's an important question, and the great thing is the Armenian alphabet made the leap. It's been in Unicode, the digital library of characters, for a long time, so it's on computers, phones, everywhere.
So it's like giving it a digital passport.
Yeah.
Why is that so important?
It makes sure the script doesn't fade away. People can use it, create with it, connect with their heritage, and it means we can share ancient texts with people all over the world.
It's about preserving the past and the future of the language. It makes you wonder about other writing systems out there and if they're having a hard time in the digital world.
It's a good question to think about. The digital world can be hard for languages, but the Armenian alphabet shows us that even the oldest writing systems can make it.
And it's still growing in the digital world, right? Like with the new additions to Unicode.
Exactly. Just recently, they added the dram sign for their currency and these incredible eternity signs, which look ancient and almost mystical.
It really shows you this alphabet is still alive, still changing, still finding new ways to express itself. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the main thing you want our listeners to take away?
I think it's the resilience of this alphabet. It's a story of survival, adaptation, of finding new meaning across centuries, even into the digital age.
It makes you realize how important language is. It connects us to our past, shapes our present, and paves the way for the future. So next time you see the Armenian alphabet, remember its journey, the stories it carries. You might be surprised at what you discover. Until next time, keep exploring.